Joining us now with more analysis from America's escalating airstrikes against the Iranians, former special envoy to Russia and Ukraine, our friend, retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg. We knew we might get back to this point. It seems to me, General, we're at the point that there is a power struggle within Iran. There's obviously a group of people that would like to make a deal with the president, with Jared Kushner, with Steve Witkoff. But then you have hardliners, old loyalists of the former regime that is now dead, that want to create as much chaos, havoc in the region as possible, do not want that to happen. That seems to me that they are the biggest obstacle at this point. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Sean, thanks for having me. It's good to be with you. Look, as long as you've got a theocratic government run by the Revolutionary Guards, you're going to have this problem. The IRGC, that is not the army, is basically running the government right now with the supreme leader. Look, the president has got it right. He's done something nobody else, no previous president has done. And he's not doing it for himself. He's doing it for our kids and our grandkids to make sure we don't have another nuclear power in the world and one that can destabilize the Middle East. And he's really doing a great job in what he's trying to do right now. And when you look at what he's doing right now, when you look at the problem he's got, I think, facing us right now, he's kind of isolating the battlefield with the aerial strikes. But I will tell you, aerial strikes alone won't do the job. The Germans learned that in World War II when they put the Blitz on London. Didn't work. And I was in the first Gulf War. We sustained 30 days of bombing before we crossed the berm and we got to the Euphrates River. And within 100 hours, they broke. The Iranians believe, and I think they're fundamentally wrong on this because they're facing the wrong president right now, meaning Donald Trump is willing to do something. They've got 2 points of leverage they have. One is Karg Island, which basically runs 90% of their oil. The vast majority of that, by the way, goes to China. And the other one is the control of the strait. And the island's in the strait as well. And if you can neutralize both of those as strategic targets, either by occupation or whatever it's going to take, you basically control their economy. If you control their economy, I think they start to break. You're looking at strategic targets. You're not talking about a ground invasion of Iran. You can't get there. It's too hard to do. The country is too large. I've seen war games on that. You just can't get to it. So if he does something strategically, and he takes these targets out, being Karg Island and the Straits of Hormuz, opens up the strait, they lose all of their leverage. Now, one thing he should do when he does something like that, or if he does something like that, you bring the American people with you. They elected him president, not any of us. And in Article 2, Section 2 of our Constitution, he is the commander-in-chief. He gets to make those calls. He got the Electoral College votes. And I think we're on the cusp of that. When you see what he's doing strategically with the bombing, he's basically isolating the battlefield around the Strait of Hormuz and around Karg Island. If you do that, I think the next step could be something like that if he decides to do so. But he's the commander-in-chief. He's going to make the call. And I think the American people, once they hear it, not the people here in Washington, D.C., they'll follow him as well.
All right, General, we appreciate your analysis as always, but they've been hit hard now, 5-6 days in a row. Unbelievable. A lot of breaking news tonight. Now, all right, thanks for watching. Check out my new podcast, Hanging Out with me, Sean Hannity. The big interviews, the debates you won't get anywhere else. Like and subscribe for new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday.